Plaintiff.
Min Jones is suing her ex-boyfriend, Joshua Caldwell, for the costs of a French bulldog.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2120, Jones versus Caldwell.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Jones, you and the defendant were in a romantic relationship that
Yes.
started about a year ago, more than a year ago. And then you decided to do one of the most foolish things that people do when they sort of fall in love, sometimes temporarily. You decided to buy a dog together. According to you, the relationship went south, and now we have this adorable dog that you want back. You say the dog is really yours. You were the one who was its primary caretaker. You paid for a vet bill. Mr. Caldwell said that's not the case. The dog was always supposed to be his. He purchased it. And it's your argument that if Mr. Caldwell is allowed to keep the dog, that you be reimbursed for the vet bills that you paid.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you and Mr. Caldwell live together?
Yes.
From when to when?
From February 1st of this year to September 3rd.
And in what month did you decide to get the dog's name is Scrappy?
Yes.
Scrappy.
We got Scrappy January 18th.
So before you moved in together?
Yes.
Where were you living?
I was going back and forth from my mom's house to Joshua's. I already had a key in January. I was staying there.
Okay, but you were living with your mother.
Yes.
In January.
Yes.
And who was the breeder of this dog? Did you buy the dog from the breeder or from?
From the breeder, Andrew.
Now, Andrew was sitting over there on the defendant's side, so I assume that Andrew was a friend of your boyfriend's.
Yes.
Stand up, Andrew. I have a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
That's Scrappy.
Yes.
Scrappy is about 8 months old?
He just hit a year about 2-3 weeks ago.
Oh, so still a puppy.
Yes.
Looks very healthy. When Scrappy was purchased, was the amount paid for him the same as was paid for the other dogs in Scrappy's litter?
No.
How many puppies were in the litter?
5.
Did you charge Mr. Caldwell or Miss Jones for Scrappy?
Mr. Caldwell,
How much did you charge him?
$3,000, Your Honor.
Who paid you?
Joshua.
Mr. Caldwell, did he pay by check or cash?
Cash and Zelle payments.
Did you ever see Miss Jones in the purchasing process?
Yes, I seen her.
Tell me about it.
At the time when they came to pick up the dog, she was his girlfriend, but there was no connection with me. and
Was
the
that the
dog.
first time you had met her?
I've seen her around because we would work at the gym together. We're both personal trainers, so I would see her around the gym sometimes.
Had you discussed with your friend Joshua
Yes.
while you were working with him in your personal training at the gym? Had you discussed with him getting a dog?
Yes.
When?
I can't recall the exact date, but I know that he had seen that I had bought my dog and that I was getting into the business. So he contacted me early in, say, 2020, stating that, hey, I want to eventually, when you have a litter, get one of your dogs from you.
Do you remember what month that was in?
I'd say, well, Scrap was born October 2021. So around then, maybe a couple months before, when I let him know that the female was pregnant. So maybe around July, August.
Okay, of 2021.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so that was well before the two of you lived together.
Yes.
Did you ever hear from Miss Jones? Did she ever call you before you saw her when they both came to pick up Scrappy?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you can sit down now. Cute. Miss Jones, who paid for Scrappy?
Me and Joshua.
Show me.
I have here Zelle and Venmo payments to Joshua. The first one is in February, and then he didn't start asking me for large amounts.
Hold on one
until-
second. Hold on. These don't look like anything like payments for the dog. What are those payments? $100, $500, $350 in June. What were those for?
They were all payments towards Scrappy. He started asking me for $200, $350 at
You mean
that
after
time.
you already had the dog?
Yes.
Because you got the dog.
Yeah, but he didn't pay for him straight up. And his friend told us that we could pay for him at will. He didn't give him money the first day that we picked him up.
Okay, I'll go back to you. How much money did Mr. Caldwell pay on the day he picked up the dog?
$0.
When was the first time he made a payment? Now you could stand up again.
He made a payment shortly after, within the first month, of about $300.
So in January, he made first payment,
Of $300.
and in January, there is no Zelle payment from you. at all. When was the next payment? Do you recall?
I believe in March he paid another $200.
Well, do you have records of what you paid, sir?
Yes.
I'd like to see them. I just want to see what you paid and when you paid it. By the way, while he's looking for that, when you lived with Mr. Caldwell, did you both contribute to the rent?
My contribution to the rent was paying for the groceries, so I have all my receipts.
So the answer is you did not pay rent.
That was our deal.
But the answer is you did not pay rent.
No, ma'am.
Did you pay any utilities?
Only when he asked me for extra money to pay his phone bill or to pay for the Wi-Fi sometimes.
And when you paid for these extra things, Wi-Fi or his phone bill, did you pay by cash or did you pay by...
The extra charges in there that I didn't highlight, the ones that are $20, $30, those are for gas. The $70 one is for his card.
Well, I just want to know how you know the payment in July for $200, what it was for.
I was only giving him money at that time. For Scrappy, he started asking me for large amounts of money for him. So that's when I gave him those. He didn't ask me for anything towards bills for that apartment.
Is Scrappy totally paid for?
No.
How much is owed?
$2,300.
So the only amount that was paid so far was $700.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is what happens, because relationships come and go. You know, 50% of the marriages in this country fail. So why would you think a relationship is going to last as long as a French bulldog?
Jasmine Jones claims her ex-boyfriend, Joshua Caldwell, owes for the costs of a French bulldog. Joshua is countersuing for vandalism and an assault.
Okay, and this is an agreement that I, Joshua Caldwell, have agreed to buy Cashmere.
That was his name originally.
From Frederick Wright. Once the dog's paid in full, I will receive full ownership rights. Frederick Wright will remain the rightful owner of Cashmere until I complete $3,000 in payments, right?
Correct.
And both of you signed this, and this was in January of 2022. That's a reasonable... What are you laughing at?
I'm not laughing. I'm just like, when did he even sign that? Because I was with him the day that we picked him up, and he never showed me any
Well,
contract.
but this is reasonable because he's not transferring any rights to him. He's going to remain the owner. He's the owner of the dog until the full amount is paid for the dog of $3,000. Right now, he said that the only thing was paid was $700. Go ahead. Now I'll hear you. Now I got it. Now you can sit down.
When I was present for us picking up Scrappy and purchasing him, it was word of mouth contract. There was no paper signing at all. He didn't even show me a paper.
And?
And he showed me him. He asked me if I liked him. I said yes. And he said he would go half on him with me.
Okay.
And I said, okay. And it was that same day. I get off of work, he picks me up, we go see Scrappy. Didn't know we were gonna get him that day. We ended up getting him that day. He tells me, okay, it's just gonna be $3,500. They walk to the back of the room and start talking and making an agreement. Come back out.
So just a second. So they went in the back of the room. You were not there. That's what you just told me. They went in the back to make an agreement, and then they came out. That's what...
He tells me it's going to be $3,500. They walk to the back of the room, make an agreement.
Right. Go ahead.
And then he comes back and we take Scrappy home. The next day, he texts me early in the morning and tells me that Scrappy might have gotten a bee sting or something because he was limping and he doesn't know what happened. I picked him up from his job that afternoon after I got off of work.
Okay, so you picked up the dog from his work.
Yes, picked him up and I went straight to my mom's house to get clothes because I was going back to his house. And I was examining Scrappy, no swollen paw, no bee sting. Then he said that he probably clipped his nail on the tile, and I'm just like looking at his paw, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it, but he's limping. Those were his stories. Still don't know what happened. Scrappy wasn't showing any signs of like pain, he was just limping. So I was like, we need to take him to the vet, like he needs to get checked
So you took him to the vet. Okay,
Yes.
and?
The vet ended up telling us that he had a fracture.
You can't tell me what the vet told you. I'll look at the records from the vet.
Okay, sorry. I have the vet bills and the reports right here.
Did you pay any part of these vet bills, sir?
Yes.
Which parts?
I didn't have any record of it because I didn't see it coming. I honestly didn't know what happened to his elbow. Andrew was there as well. We were both kind of like, we don't know. So I found out after going to the vet that Frenchies have a ligament in their elbow, and this happens often.
No one is suggesting that anyone abused the dog.
Okay. Oh, I'll just...
That's not the suggestion. My question was a simple one. Did you pay any of these vet bills? They're
Yes.
about $1,600.
Yes. I just don't
How
have
much
the
did you pay?
record of it.
What?
'cause
He's lying.
I didn't ask you to interrupt. You have to understand, Miss Jones, you can't have this dog. First of all, this dog doesn't belong to either one of you. This dog belongs to him until the dog is paid for. So far, all he's gotten for the dog is $700. $500 of that he paid for. But right now, I can't award ownership of the dog. There's a contract that until this dog is paid for, the dog belongs to Mr. Wright. First name?
Frederick.
Frederick. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Simple. So you have a friend who has Frenchies, then I suggest that you go with your original plan, which is to buy a dog yourself.
Not
Now,
the same.
you have no proof that you paid any of these vet bills.
I just have the medicine with my name on it.
Well, the medicine with your name on it doesn't help. $1,600 in vet bills. And you have physical custody of the dog now, right?
Right.
And your agreement with Mr. Wright is that you don't get ownership of that dog until the dog is paid for. Yeah, I mean, I can't enforce your contract with regard to Miss Jones. The dog was not paid for.
I've already offered to pay him for the remainder of whatever Josh hasn't paid him.
The contract is with Mr. Caldwell, not you. So that's what happened when foolish young people decide to own a dog together. And they're not married, they don't even live together. This is what happens, because the relationships come and go. You know, 50% of the marriages in this country fail. So why would you think a relationship is going to last as long as a French bulldog? It's sort of ridiculous, and I've advised against it for the last 25 years. Nobody wants to heed this. So I'm faced with a situation where, when did the two of you break up?
I left it on September 3rd.
Well, now we're a couple of months, but
She didn't leave. She had to be... well, this is going to go into the assault charge.
I don't.
But
Listen,
she had
I
to
don't
be
care.
escorted
I don't
out.
care. Whatever. If,
Fighting.
I
don't care. You
packing my
want
clothes.
you. Shh. I'll get to the counterclaim in a second. I will give it the same attention as I've given her claim for the dog. She's not getting the dog back. You have to, however, pay her the $1,600 that she paid for the vet. Do you understand? So that part of your petition is granted. Was the bill all paid?
I'm still paying it off currently. We both agreed to apply for care credit together, and whoever...
But it's your bill that you have to pay. If you work in accounting, you have a check, you
Oh,
don't
yes.
want that garnished, so you have to pay it.
I am paying it.
You have to pay it. Okay. And he's going to reimburse you for that, $1,600. All right, now let's get to this counterclaim and make short shrift of it. Money owed for assault and vandalizing personal belongings. Let's start with the assault. Allegedly, the assault took place when the plaintiff came home intoxicated.
I'm a kickboxer. On September 3rd, she came to my fight, and she dropped me off at home.
That's a lie.
If you say it again, what I'm going to do, if you interrupt Miss Jones, again, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dismiss your claim, and you'll pay for these vet bills yourself. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go ahead.
She didn't like the people that was at my fight there, and so she had a couple drinks. She got to my house, and she started to fight with me, and I tried to remove myself from the fight, and then she started getting violent. So then I called her family to come pick her up, and they showed up maybe an hour later. In that hour, I tried to remove myself to another room. She went and got scissors and started to cut my shoes up. Then I had to try to grab my shoes and scrap and go into the opposite room, and she came in there and was trying to fight me. All the while all this happening, I'm recording her on video to make sure that I'm...
You have that recording?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
This would be me asking her just to leave. This whole thing is out of retaliation.
What are you about to do? Why are you hitting me in the face?
Record me? Because I want my dog?
Fighting me. She won't stop fighting me. I've asked her to leave.
Explain that to me.
Jasmine Jones is accusing her ex-boyfriend, Joshua Caldwell, of owing vet bills for a French bulldog. Joshua is countersuing, claiming Jasmine assaulted him.
Okay. You have that recording?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
This would be me asking her just to leave. This whole thing is out of retaliation.
Why are you hitting me in the face?
Record me? Because I want my dog?
Fighting me. She won't stop fighting me. I've asked her to leave. Your stuff is in bags.
You're such a... Josh.
Okay. There you go again. There you go again. On camera hitting me. On camera hitting me. On camera. You see her hitting me? There you go.
Explain that to me.
I wasn't dropping him off. We were still...
I don't care what you're dropping off. Explain that video to me.
I was pushing the phone out of my face because he had me on live and was saying my full name. He cut off parts of it.
No, I just want to know what happened to you. This was clearly you were going after him. I don't know whether you...
knocking the phone out of his hand because he was saying my full name, saying I was crazy. I had already packed my stuff. I was leaving. We walk in the house. He calls me a dumb bee and then goes straight to the bathroom. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna leave. Like, I'm not gonna deal with this. I had Scrappy by my side. I was packing what I could, taking it downstairs. I walk back up. He goes, oh, you're leaving? And he snatches Scrappy and locks him in the bedroom. And then when he goes to open the door is when I barge in. I'm just like, give me my dog so I can leave. And
well, I want to know what the violent stuff was about.
He was recording me, saying my name.
He was recording you.
Saying I was crazy and I wouldn't get out of the house. And I was like, stop recording me. And I was just hitting the phone out of his hand. I never once put my hands on him. He's already hit me and choked me in the past, so I would not go there to provoke him to hurt me again.
Did you ever report to anyone that he hurt you?
I told my mom.
Did you ever report?
No, I didn't.
Mr. Caldwell, were you injured?
I mean, I'm a fighter. I'm not gonna...
Were you injured is my question.
No.
Her family came?
Yeah.
The police were not called. You called her family instead. Did you pick her up? Stand up, please. You're a mother?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And this incident happened on what date when he called you?
It was about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
On
Shh. Don't interrupt. On what date?
Labor Day.
Did you go to Mr. Caldwell's home?
Yes, I did.
What time did you get there?
Probably almost 4.
Had Mr. Caldwell ever called you before with regard to picking up your daughter, or that she was... No.
No.
So this was a first?
Yes.
Now, when you got there, I want you to describe what you saw.
She was crying, she was upset, and I told her, come on, let's just go. And she said, no, I want to get my dog. I can't leave my dog here. He's been violent in the past. I've seen it. I told her, don't ever leave him with him again after a beach incident where he, like, hit him. I mean, he's a kickboxer, like he said. He doesn't hit the dog like a normal person would just tap a dog. No, this was back in July. He was a puppy. He was a baby. And I was so furious when I saw that. He only did it because the dog snapped at him, because he was angrily packing him up into a dog carrier.
Would you do me a favor? Would you describe to me your daughter's condition?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Describe to me. You have to understand. Your daughter cannot get the dog. The dog does not belong to the defendant.
Okay.
The dog belongs to Mr. Wright.
What happens to the $1,310 she spent for the dog?
Well,
she sent that money to him.
I have to tell you something. I don't see anything in your daughter's evidence that suggests to me that any payments that she made to him had anything to do with the dog. Anything to do with the dog. Mr. Wright was very clear. He said he received $700 for the dog. There were 2 payments that were identified in his register as payments for Scrappy. There is absolutely nothing in your daughter's register that she gave me of these odd payments of $160 or $70 say Scrappy on it. Not one. So I've already made a determination of where the dog is staying. The dog is staying wherever Mr. Wright wants the dog to stay, because he owns the dog.
Okay.
Understand?
Yes.
So now that's your daughter's case. I finished that part of the case. What I want to know is he has a counterclaim, and his counterclaim was that your daughter, while in an intoxicated state, assaulted him. Some of that I saw on this video. Some of it you saw on the video. Mr. Caldwell was honest, because it doesn't look as if he was injured as a result of that, and I'm absolutely not discounting the fact that no one should put their hands on somebody else, but an assault requires an injury. And so if this is is that dog sleeping?
No,
that is so funny.
He runs all the time.
That is so funny. So, Mr. Caldwell, can you show me what damage you allege Miss Jones caused your property? That's the next thing. You said an assault, which never happened because there was no physical injury. Would you mind telling me, please, what property specifically and photographs of that property?
I'll have it.
Okay, so your counterclaim's dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600 for the vet bills that she paid or is obligated to pay on her credit.
It's not assault unless I get hurt.
Yes, it's not an assault unless there is an injury.
So if I was
that it's an
beating her up at her
just a
house?
second, that's an attempted, sir, it's an attempted assault. Do you understand? If an assault has a specific definition, I believe she probably attempted to assault you when she touched you in an unauthorized manner.
She was punching me in the face. That's not a...
Show me picture of any injury. Show me. No, I didn't see that in the video, sir. I saw her lunging towards you. Do you understand? I saw her lunging towards you. I didn't see her hit you. I didn't see a photograph of any injury. I didn't see a police report where you reported any injury.
Report incidents where her being drunk and fighting other men.
Oh, okay. Did you understand what I said? An assault requires injury. An attempted assault does not. And attempted assault is a crime. But it's a crime which I choose, because of the circumstances here, not to consider and not to award you any cash award because you were not injured in any way. So unless you have photographs of the pair of shoes that you say she cut or something else, I'm dismissing your counterclaim. We got it? Good. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
Scrappy was not just like a dog or a pet, like he was my support.
I mean, it was fair. Obviously, she had nothing to do with the dog.
It's expected because he lied the entire time that we were together.
And that's a lie.
Him not to have given him any of the money that I put towards Scrappy.
She literally just got all the transactions that we've ever done between each other on Venmo or Zelle and brought that to court.
Now I just think like he was pocketing that money the entire time.
And that's why it was dismissed, because it wasn't valid at all.
I disagree with you a little bit on the countersuit of the assault charge. I have a more, I guess, broad overview since I'm just out of school with the common law. So assault versus battery, as far as I learned, was assault was just the imminent threat of a harm. You're fearing for your life or offensive contact of some sort, whereas battery is the actual offensive touching. There has to be some sort of contact. So if we're ruling by common law, which I know we're not bound by any particular state's jurisdiction, I would have awarded him something for the assault claim.
My training is in New York. And in New York, there is no crime of battery. My training was it's assault. And for an assault, there has to be a physical touching and injury. And an attempted assault is placing someone in fear of imminent physical injury. I think you're probably right that there are jurisdictions that are different. We didn't actually see any contact between her and him.
And he was honest. He said,
yeah.
you know, obviously I didn't have any injuries, but...
Right, just as he didn't have any evidence to support the fact that she had destroyed or damaged some of his personal property. Unfortunate, but you make a good point with it.
Jeremy DeTorres is suing his former employer, Chad Young, for unpaid wages and filing a false restraining order.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2140, DeTorres versus Young.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. DeTorres, according to your complaint, you did some work for the defendant as a plumber. Didn't work out, and he terminated you, and he owes you some wages.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says that while your work in the beginning was okay, you were never an employee of his. You're an independent contractor. That's the way he sets it up, and he's going to explain that to me. That he paid you your wages, even though the last job that you did cost him an awful lot to repair. He was not happy with the quality of work that you did, and his counterclaim is for vandalism, something that happened with his truck, work hours, lost duty or incompetence. That I'm not going to hear, sir. You know, you make a choice with an employee, and if it turns out to be something that is less than satisfactory, then you let them go. But the one who I assume suffered from what you call lack of quality work that he performed was the person that you were working for. Was that a private residence that he was doing work in?
Yes. Yeah, a bunch
Well,
of
that's
private residents.
Yeah, that's the person who suffered.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so we're going to make this as easy as possible. From what days to what days did you work?
I worked for Chad from June 13th to August 3rd.
And how much were you supposed to be paid?
For those 3 days, $840.
And that's for 3 days' work?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you say June 13th?
Yes, ma'am.
To August 3rd?
Correct.
Well, that's more than 3 days.
No, his wage he owes me from August 1st to August 3rd is what he did not pay me for.
Okay, and where did you work during those days?
Multiple residents.
Okay, do you have any sort of a call log from him?
I do. It's right
Okay.
here in my
Do you dispute that he worked from August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd?
Yes.
You dispute that
There was one day he actually did one of my jobs for a couple hours that day.
Doesn't matter. He has a log.
Half a day for one day.
Did you pay him for that half day?
I did not because the job was done incorrectly multiple times.
But he did that job. Okay, now, do you have a log?
As in?
It's some sort of a work log. You have a business. You have people who are general contractors. You get a call. You don't have a payroll because you pay these people independently. Do you pay them in cash or check?
Both.
Well, how did you pay him?
Sometimes it was through a cashier's check and sometimes it was cash.
Okay, but never through a company check where you deducted Social Security.
No, because I 1099 all my employees, so they're all self-employed, so they have to do all that on their own.
I do understand. I mean, you're not the inventor of this whole system, sir, of paying in cash. Okay. Are you one of those independent contractors?
Yes, ma'am.
Stand up. How long have you been an independent contractor?
I've been contracted with Chad since July 5th.
Of what year?
This year, 2022.
Oh, so short term.
Yes, ma'am.
Does he pay you in check or cash? No, look at me.
Check it first, and then later on it became through Venmo, and then it's gone back to check now.
What kind of check?
Cashier's check.
Just straight cashier's check with nothing taken out?
No, ma'am.
No, I go to my bank to get all that.
What?
I go to my bank to get the cashier's checks, and sometimes I Venmo him the payment too, just to pay.
I understand, but sir, you're not the first person who I know who pays their people in cash and says that you're independent contractors. You're independent contractors. I don't want to know about it. What name do you use for the cashier's checks?
My personal name.
Is this the first time you've worked for him?
Yes.
Okay, let me see what you have for August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Where did you work? Come on.
There were multiple residents, ma'am.
Well, you have to tell me so that he can answer. He said that you worked half a day that he didn't pay you for.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's say that's a full day. So that's $200.
Okay. See, he would email it on his work phone, and I'd follow the addresses there.
Well, then you would have it on your phone.
my short notes on this.
Just a second. Then you would have it on your phone.
It was his company phone. He took it back when he came to my house unannounced and told me that I was fired. Redeemed his truck. Got my tools out of his vehicle.
Okay, just a second. Do you have your phone?
I do. I have my personal one that I.
What about the phone that you took from him?
No, that one's actually broke, so it's been with him for the past week.
Let me see the notes that you have that you took.
Yes, ma'am.
Fascinating.
It's my shorthand, ma'am.
How do I know what dates these are for?
It was all on his phone, ma'am.
Well, that's not him to have to prove, sir.
I wasn't able to prove anything when he took his phone back. I just had that's the notes when I was employed for him, as I wrote down.
It's not helpful to me.
Yes, ma'am.
So far, the only thing that he's acknowledged is that he owes you a day's wages.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is $210. The other part of your complaint is a false restraining order against you.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you file a restraining order against
I did.
him? Do you have a copy of what you wrote in your restraining order?
I do.
I'd like to see it.
So what got me that restraining order is he called and made threats and made
Was
threats.
this after you fired him?
It was.
Okay, so after you fired him, he called you.
Made threats.
Well, what did he say when he called you?
Just basically talking about I'm gonna come to your house and everything.
He wanted money.
I guess, yeah.
He said, you didn't pay me.
Yeah.
Okay. You say you got a text message and voicemail from Jeremy threatening to come to my place of residence.
Yes.
Can I hear it?
Yeah. Do you want me to play it? Or do you want to look at it?
I want to look at it.
Okay.
So, Mr. Torres, did you, after he fired you and came to your residence, took your house, did you call him threatening to come to his house?
I did.
You did?
With the police. It says it on these text messages, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to take his phone and those text messages.
There's more text. That's just the one where he said he'd send me my money.
That's the voicemail if you want me to play it for you. Sometimes the transcription doesn't work.
Yeah.
You want me to play it?
Just.
Hey, bro. I definitely worked more than 9 hours for the last week that I worked for you. I'll be contacting my... Play with me. I'll show up at your house.
Yeah, that's a threat.
With the police.
Just a second. That's a threat.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I've had more.
That's a threat.
I
Just
had
a
more incidents before that as well.
May I say something, ma'am? He accused me of going into his gated community, slashing tires on his work vehicle. I stated that I was going to come to his house after, if you read my text, I said to him, hey, bro, I think I misunderstood your text message. If I did, my bad. If not, I'll show up at your house with the police. I never went to his house. I waited to see if he'd be the big man and just send me my money like he said he would.
I listened to the message, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
The message sounded threatening.
Did you read the rest of them?
I don't care. That message sounded threatening. Where does it say here that his tires were slashed?
In my mind, somebody writing that against me, flattened tires, what else would it be?
But you have to understand that that's not what this says.
And later today,
I was financially struggling.
Well, you weren't living together at the time.
No, she would periodically come over and
yeah, but
stay at
you
my
weren't living together at the time. So how would she find out that you were in financial trouble?
Jeremy DeTorres claims his former employer, Chad Young, owes for unpaid wages and filing a false restraining order.
Okay, that message alone, if he felt threatened because you were going to come to his house, and you not only said you were going to come to his house, but you used an expletive before you did that, which sounded threatening. This may be more benign, but that phone message was sufficient for him to file for a protective order against you.
Okay, why didn't he show up at the protective custody order?
I don't answer your questions.
No,
you don't necessarily.
Absolutely.
Some people don't pursue it because once it's done, it's done.
It wasn't done.
And once it's done,
This is the dismissal right here. Dismissal for the
No, I didn't show up. I understand he didn't show up, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
But I'm saying to you, I listened to your text message, and he had an absolute right to see.
Can you see where he threatened me as well with all these back and forth texts and calling each other? Because it's in the text
You're
messages.
suing him for money owed for wages and filing a false restraining order.
Okay.
You've proven that you worked an additional day for which he didn't pay you, which is $210. He has a counterclaim. Yeah. He says that you vandalized the tires on his car. The rest of it, I'm not dealing with, sir. You picked this employee. You don't then sue the employee if you don't like the job that they do. You fire him and you get somebody else to do the job. But you can't sue him because did the person who you did the job for sue you?
No, because I've got a really good reputation with my customers.
Because you fixed it. Because it wasn't done right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even up to that last day I said he worked for me, that job I had to go back to 2 weeks ago. That they couldn't close on the house.
The next time you won't hire him. Yeah. Maybe other people won't either. But I want you to tell me about the tires. I want you to tell me what proof do you have that he had anything to do with your tires? When were the tires slashed, flattened?
So the police report was done Friday when he made the threats.
Friday, what date?
I got the date right here. I think it was
August 5th.
Yeah, so August 5th is when he did it.
August 5th is when
the police report was made for the threats.
For the threat, for the voicemail?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so it was the end of the day Friday, so court's closed for the weekend.
August 5th?
Yep. And then Monday, the 8th, I went outside to go to work. My tires were slashed in the end. At that point, I realized it was just over and done, and I need to go down and get a restraining order so people can't come onto my, my property.
Because
area.
you believed it was the plaintiff who was responsible. You believed you didn't have proof at the time.
Yes.
You didn't have proof.
Again, and even in my injunction, I knew all I needed was this police report to get the injunction, so I just put in my police report.
You're not talking about an injunction. You're talking about a restraining order.
Yeah, the restraining order. Yeah.
Okay.
I went to file the restraining. So in my restraining order, I put just my tires were flat. I did not put my tires were slashed at any point because I knew the police report was enough to get the restraining order.
Okay, your
so I
tires
didn't go
were
in
flat.
detail about my tires.
Okay, so in the police report, you have that your tires were flattened.
No, that wasn't on the police report because that didn't happen yet. The tire incident did not happen.
Okay.
That happened Friday. Monday morning, I went out in my vehicle to go to work. That's when I found them flat and slashed.
Did you file another police report?
That's when I went and filed the restraining order that day.
Okay, and in the application for a restraining order, you said?
That my tires were flat, and that was it.
Yes, okay.
I didn't mention that they were slashed.
Correct.
So I don't know how he would know my tires were slashed if I didn't mention it on my restraining order.
I don't know. That's an interesting question. Mr. DeTorres. Mr. DeTorres, stop your paper fluttering.
Okay.
What made you think that the defendant's tires were slashed rather than just the air let out of them?
Because I read this police report and it has a mark right here saying, or the file that he did.
Show me. And make a circle.
Right here, damaged property is what I read. He checked that I damaged his property because this is written against me.
Mr. DeTorres, do you understand my question, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I'm nervous in the
Just a
flight.
second. This has nothing to do with nerves,
You're
Mr.
right.
DeTorres.
Well, I had no sleep last night.
That has nothing to do with sleep.
As far as not being...
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
What I'm asking you, Mr. DeTorres, is where does it say here that his tires were slashed?
In my mind, somebody writing that against me, flattened tires, what else would it be? He lives in a gated community.
Well, that could
Where's
be...
the surveillance showing me that my leg injury, the way I walk, is very distinctive, okay? If he's got proof that I slashed or flattened his tires, I said slashed. It's the same thing as flattened in my mind. That's the way I think. The way I read that, that's just how it came out of my mouth.
But you have to understand that that's not what this says.
Okay, it says that I damaged his property.
He said damaged his property, and you said slashed tires.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
How much were the tires?
$450.
Let me see the receipt.
I do not have a receipt because I pay cash for my tires.
Well, that's too bad. You better stop paying cash, sir. You can pay cash for tires.
Yeah.
But when you buy tires with cash and you want to sue for them, you get a receipt.
Yeah.
From the people. And if you know you're coming to court, we're not talking about things that happened 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You were coming to court today.
I went back to the tire shop and he's like, we just, we always do cash for all your vehicles. And
well, what do you mean cash for all your vehicles? That means you get a receipt. All right, your counterclaim's dismissed because you have no proof of anything. On the complaint, sir, I'm awarding you $210, which is 1 day's pay. Thank you very much. This case is over.
This court is adjourned.
The work just wasn't up to the quality that he promised he was going to offer.
It is what it is.
That's just his nature. That's always been his nature.
The judgment is what the judgment is. She felt like I was only awarded a day's pay, and that's what she gave me.
Keep doing what I do. That's all I can do every day.
Well, Sarah Rose, that is the perfect example of you're supposed to have proof when you come to court.
Yep. Standard of proof exists for a reason.
I know that when I go someplace, and sometimes I pay cash. Mm-hmm. So even if you pay cash for something,
there's some
or Venmo,
record. Venmo,
you're supposed to get a receipt in the event that you want to use whatever you bought and use that fact that you purchased something in a subsequent lawsuit.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as sending a gift. If you send somebody a gift, you keep the receipt until you know that they got the gift.
Yeah.
Then you take it and you throw it away. It's just
good bookkeeping. It's good record keeping.
And he's a business guy.
Yeah,
he's a business guy. Didn't make sense to me, but clearly plaintiff is somebody who has a little trouble.
Yeah.
Case 2137, Wise versus Light. All parties, please step forward.
Caitlin Weiss is suing her ex-boyfriend, Cody Lipe, for unpaid loans.
Ms. Weiss, the defendant was a boyfriend of yours for a period of time.
Correct.
And you allege a couple of loans. One from a year and a half ago, the balance of a $200 loan, he paid you back $100.
Yes.
Quite frankly, I'm not interested in what happened a year and a half ago. What you say is, I need time to catch up.
It was a verbal conversation.
Well, what's in writing is you saying to her, I can make payments to you. But the thing that you don't have in writing is where she gave the loan. Is that right?
Caitlin Weiss claims her ex-boyfriend, Cody Lipe, is refusing to pay back loans she gave him during their relationship.
Okay, in March of this year, you allege that you gave him money. He was still your boyfriend in March of this year, is that right?
Yes.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
And in March of this year, he had gotten a car. What kind of car did you get?
It was a Buick Regal.
What year?
2004, I believe.
Where did you get it from?
I got it from a private seller.
How much did you pay for it?
$850.
Needed fixing.
Yes.
And you didn't have money for parts.
I did for the first round of parts.
But you didn't for the second?
After the first ones failed, I did not.
And how much did you need for parts?
That I don't remember.
Who bought them?
Miss Weiss did.
Did she buy them on a credit card?
I believe so, yes.
And you have no idea what she paid for those parts?
I don't remember.
But that would be in March of 2022?
It would have been in April.
Did you pay for the parts by credit card?
Yes, I paid between Cash App transactions that were transferred to Mr. Lipe through Cash App, which I have present here.
I'd like to see proof of them. What do they total?
They totaled up to $920.
Does that sound about right, Mr. Lippy?
That's about right.
Okay. And tell me about the discussion that you had with her when she paid for these parts.
There was a discussion of how I was going to pay her back.
And what did you tell her?
I did agree at that time.
And then what happened?
There were then later discussions as we were still in a relationship and I was in financial troubles that she told me not to worry about it.
This 920 was a loan in April of 2022. That's what you say. It was in April, not March.
Correct.
And then you say at some point she forgave that loan.
Right.
Tell me when that happened.
Shortly after the car got back together, which would have been in May. I was financially struggling.
Well, you weren't living together at the time?
No, she would periodically come over and
yeah, but
stay at
you
my
weren't living together at the time. So how would she find out that you were in financial trouble?
I mean, we were at that state in our relationship where she knew basically my financials all the time.
When did the two of you break up?
I believe that was in June.
So shortly after you say she forgave the loan.
That is correct.
Did you ever forgive this $920 loan?
No, I did not. Brennan Black was there the day that I had confronted Cody at a car meet and had offered him a short little payment of $790 where Cody said he would do it in payments.
Just a minute. You broke up in June.
Correct.
He says that you had a conversation before that, sometime in May, where you knew he was in financial difficulty. Did you ever have that conversation with him?
No, that is incorrect. I do have statements here to prove it as well.
I'd like to see them. So then you said he owed you $970. He had been giving you some money?
Yes, he had been giving me
It says, so that puts you at $670, okay? That's what you wrote.
Correct. He had been giving me money periodically throughout the beginning of the car parts.
Okay, but it says, so that puts you at $670, okay?
Yes, there's more transactions on the Cash Apps as well.
Oh, after that?
Yes, correct. Sorry.
No, sir. What you say is I need time to catch up. There's no forgiving here unless you have some.
It was a verbal conversation.
Well, what's in writing?
Right.
What's in writing is you saying to her, I need some time to catch up. I can make payments to you. All of that is in writing. But the thing that you don't have in writing is where she forgave the loan. Is that right? Yeah. $920. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done here. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
It is what it is.
I think it was fair. Mr. Lipe did owe me money, and he got what he deserved.
Yes, she lent me the money, but at the same time, she was helping me out in a relationship, and she knew I was struggling.
He said he was going to pay me back and never followed through even after that.
There were discussions about her telling me not to worry about it.
Not to trust so much.
I'm never going to do it again.
Oh, that's going to be a contract.
She was very prepared.
Oh, she was to the point, knew exactly what she needed.
And she had all of her evidence.
Yep.
All
just the way we like it.
All lined up. It's unfortunate when a loan becomes a gift and a gift then becomes a loan when the romance is over. These writings are always so helpful, and these text messages really are making my life much easier.
And one thing that I mention a lot is with Cash App or Venmo, always state if you're paying someone money, don't just send the money, put in the subject line. They have a subject line on those for a reason. For this car part, for this tow, for this XYZ the other. So I always, when using Venmo or Cash App or something like that in an online transfer system, I'll send the money, and then in the transaction, you can put whatever you want in the memo line of Venmo. So housekeeping for me, I'll pay through that. Other things, I list housekeeping for, and I put the date and the hours. So I at least have a record of who I'm paying electronically.
If you buy food,
or if I give someone money for dinner for half my meal, I say for my dinner on XYZ date.
And then you can get a printout.
Organized. Exactly.
And then you can, like a bank account?
Yep.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
It just keeps it organized. So I love it when litigants come in ready to go.
Well, that's good advice for people who use Venmo, to use the subject line.
Exactly. It makes sense.
His former roommate, Nigel Pine, and her boyfriend, Gallo June, for property damage and stolen belongings.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2121, GN versus Pine Jaum.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Gwilyn, you rented a room in a house that you were renting or that you own?
That I was renting.
It's a 3-bedroom house, and you live there with whom?
At the time, it was me and my sister, and then my cousin.
How long have you been living in that house?
I was living there previously with my sister for about 5 years, and then she moved, and then it came over to me in 2020.
So you've been living there for 7 years.
About 5 years, yeah.
When did you decide to rent a room?
She came to me around early May, saying that she was going through a situation with her previous roommate.
That would be you.
Sorry, Nyjah, yeah. Sorry about that.
How did you know her?
We worked together as servers. But then she came to me on the job saying that she heard that I had a room available and that she was going through it with some of her previous roommates before. She said she needed some place to stay, so I told her that she could stay with me until she got on her feet.
Is that the conversation?
No.
Okay, so let me hear your version of the conversation.
So someone did tell me he was renting a room. I did need a room for rent. As we all know, COVID did happen, so I wasn't in my place I had stayed previously. I was moving. And so I went to him and I said, hey, I heard you had a room for rent. He's like, yeah, girl. And I'm like, yeah. So I could pay, I could move in now, basically. Because I came to him May 31st, moved in June 1st, which was the next day. And he was like, yeah, girl, just pay $800 a month. Just give me $1,000 to move in. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. I'm like, all right, for sure. It's like, it'll be month to month. And that was it. It was never like till you get back on your feet. It was never like a helping hand. I paid to move in with him.
He never said it was a helping hand.
Well, he did just state that I was going to be staying there until I got back on my feet, which was never the case. I was staying there.
But you needed a room.
Yes.
Okay. And the rent was $800 a month.
Yes.
And he asked you for $1,000 up front as security.
Yes.
And when did she move in?
She moved in on May 30th, Your Honor.
When did she pay you for June's rent?
Immediately. So the day that she moved in is when she gave me the money.
So she paid June's rent?
Yeah, she did pay June's rent, yes.
And what about July?
She paid for July's rent as well, yeah.
And what about August?
She did pay for August rent, but she does owe me for utilities. She's about 2 months backed up on utilities.
What about September?
We weren't there for September because the altercation already occurred on August 27th and 28th.
Okay, so she was there for 3 months and she paid you for 3 months.
Yes, ma'am.
Your complaint is that there was an altercation, and at some point during her tenancy, she brought in her boyfriend who's going to uncross his arms.
Yes.
Who was living with her.
Mm-hmm.
And when was that?
So she told me previously to her moving in that she did have a boyfriend and that he would be there from time to time. I allowed it. During his stay and while they were there, they were always arguing. It was like commotion, like every other night. He would punch holes in the wall. They would constantly get into fights. So what happened to how this whole thing got about, one day I had came home and I actually have the messages here.
Those are the messages you had on your phone?
Yeah, between me and her men, yeah.
Okay, may I see those?
So he was
May I see
standing
them,
outside
please?
of the building. I came home around.
Just a second. I have to read them first, sir.
Yeah.
I don't understand what this is.
So I was pulling up to my house around 7 a.m. in the morning. He was outside sitting on the steps crying and smoking a blunt. He walked up to my car asking if we can have a conversation. I said, sure. He gets in my car. We're talking. He tells me that him and Nyjah just got into a fight. Nyjah kicked him out again.
He and his girlfriend got
Yeah,
into
he and his girlfriend, Nyjah, had got into a fight.
This was on August 27th.
Yes, August 22nd, yeah. So we had the conversation. He told me that Nyjah...
What were you doing look at me. What were you doing out at 7:30 in the morning?
So me...
No, just...
Me and Nyjah, like the night previously, we had went out together. We got in pretty late. We were out drinking. We did get into a situation, but it wasn't a situation...
I just want to know what you were doing out 7:30 in the morning. That's my question.
I was just leaving and walking to my car.
Did you have a conversation with Mr.
We had
Guido?
a brief 2 to 3 minute conversation.
Okay, but you had a conversation with him. Now, you had an argument with your girlfriend the night before, you just said. What kind of an argument did you have with her?
It was basically, we went out, we were trying to have a good time together. It didn't really kind of end up the night how I wanted it to go. She felt how she felt. It was never an argument of, yelling at her or like we were going at it. It was just like...
Well, you had been out drinking.
Yeah.
And when you were out drinking the night before, did you have any altercation with your girlfriend while you were out?
No.
So you had the altercation with her in the house?
Yes, in the apartment.
Okay. Now, he works nights? What were you doing?
Nights and days, yeah. I'm a server bartender, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, he wasn't home when you were having these fights with this argument with your girlfriend?
Not even an argument, but no, ma'am, he wasn't home.
He was not at home. And when he came home that morning, you were outside?
I was walking to my car.
He was outside on the steps crying.
I wasn't
Just a
on
second.
the steps.
Sorry.
Wasn't on the steps.
Just a second. You have to understand, I move slowly but methodically.
Got you. Sorry, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, Do you work?
Yes, I do.
Where?
Security.
Security for whom?
Allied.
What time do you report to work on the 27th?
On the 27th, I went to work late because of the situation that had happened previously that day with the cops, and we have the text messages of me texting my supervisor.
What situation previously that day? He wasn't home. So what situation previously that day?
What happened previously that day was that...
Previously what day?
Earlier during the day, he had...
That was 7:30 in the morning. You hadn't seen him.
I'm having
Wasn't the 27th?
That wasn't the 27th when that happened.
Or
We
the
had the
22nd.
conversation on the 26th. Early coming back, it was 7 that day because we had got into it. I didn't see her at all. After me and her had our little falling out, I'm walking to my car. We have the conversation. I go home.
You went home for what?
He said that I was living with her. I was never living with her.
You were.
You went home for what at 7:30 in the morning? What did you go home for?
To sleep.
To sleep. So what you're saying is it wasn't on the 27th, it was the 26th.
This altercation that happened with me on the steps, it either was the 26th or the 25th, but this happened way prior before the day on the 27th. The 27th is the day where the first police incident happened, where there was the actual dispute over him and her. He said that she didn't pay the first month's rent, which we have in the police report.
Okay, I've already determined all the rent was paid.
Right, but he has the dates wrong because the 27th is not the day that we got into the altercation.
What was the date?
It was the 22nd.
It was the 22nd.
22nd of August, 2022.
Yeah.
And I'm off Mondays and Tuesdays, so I was off. I went home to sleep after I left the apartment.
So on the 22nd, Your Honor.
On the 22?
Yeah, on 22, which is a Monday morning at 7:30, I pulled into my garage. He was outside crying.
So it wasn't on the 27th?
No, it was on the 22nd, yeah. 22nd in the morning, yes, ma'am. It was 7:30 in the morning. He's sitting there crying. I come in. He asks, can he come in my car to talk to me? We talk. He tells me that him and Nigel got into another altercation. She hits him. He stops her from doing what she wants to do. He said that Nigel expressed that she's talking to other people and that she just wants him to leave her alone. He then asked me, do I know about her dealing with any men or anything? I tell him I've only seen her with one guy. It was some light-skinned dude who she went to the bowling alley with. But other than that, I didn't see anything. I told him, with me being 25 and him being 20, I said, you're a young man. You have your own car, you got a place, you're doing stuff. You should be living life. You shouldn't be, getting beat or dealing with all this stuff. Just be young and live your life, That's when he then...
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have that sort of a conversation with him?
Not at all.
Okay, tell me what...
The conversation was 2 to 3 minutes. I never entered his car. I was walking out.
No, tell me what you said to him.
I told him that me and her got into it. You might not see me around here. I don't know what the situation is. And he did tell me, focus on yourself. Y'all will be good.
Okay, so it's pretty much, so whatever. That was a discussion. You had a fight with her on the 22nd, and there was registering some complaint. Mm-hmm. Sir, if you say you might not see me around here, we had an argument, there was registering some sort of a complaint. Yeah. You didn't leave there happy on the 22nd.
Yes.
Is this... Right? You didn't leave there happy.
I never was upset, like how he's trying to make it seem. We didn't have this conversation of me being beat on or me crying.
You didn't leave, Mr. Jim, you didn't leave there happy that morning.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's correct.
You had an altercation with her the night before or earlier, and you stopped and had a brief conversation with him. I don't have to get into the nuances of it. You weren't happy. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's the 27th, and you say you told him you're a young guy. You don't have to...
live your life, yeah.
Live your life.
And then he thanks me in those messages that I gave you right
Okay. Would you tell me what you know with regard to the vandalism?
Once I opened the door, I seen shattered glass all over the floor. His room was completely vandalized. There was a knife in the wall.
Can you explain these photographs to me?
I can't explain the photographs. I didn't do it.
Carlos Guillen claims his former roommates, Nija Pine, and her boyfriend, Gallo June, vandalized his property. Nija is countersuing for a false arrest, tire damage, and cyberbullying.
Now, 22nd moves into the 23rd, 24th. Anything happened the 23rd, 24th, 25th?
The 26th, I had got a phone call from one of my friends saying that Nyjah, at the place that we were working at, was going around telling people that I was trying to sleep with her boyfriend, saying that I'm trying to make him gay and that I go for straight men.
Just a second.
All this stuff.
Just a second. That's all hearsay, by the way, unless you have a witness to that.
Yes.
And I assume that you could have a witness to that if you like. Did you, Ms. Pine, have any conversation at work with any of your colleagues about discussions that the plaintiff may have had with your boyfriend?
Yes.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Do you remember who?
It's actually another coworker. That
Coworker.
is a mutual friend between us.
Okay. And without going into the text of the conversation, were you registering complaints about Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Okay.
Your Honor.
That's all. That's all that's
So
relevant.
with that being said, that following morning on the 27th, I then walked up to her room around 8 o'clock because, you know, she's living in my house. I'm helping her out. She's talking about me at my place of business. So I went up there to go ask her, you know, what's going on, what's happening. The moment I go up there, she's like, you're this and this and this. We start arguing at this point. Like, we're both yelling at each other. It's getting heated. She then tells me that she's going to have some dudes come and beat me up since I want to argue with a girl and all this stuff. Men then come to my home. 6 dudes come to my house.
How much later after the conversation?
This is probably like literally 10 minutes after the conversation. Like, this was very fast. She had these men come to my house. I saw one of the dudes outside. I was trying to, you know, go outside and just be like, look, I'm not trying to do anything to her. We got into an argument. I'm hearing stuff. Gallo, out of nowhere, comes from a corner and tries to swing at me. Once he does that, I then go inside my house, I go into my room, and I look at my window, and it's 6 men outside my home. She then lets these men inside the house. They're banging on my door, talk about bring your outside and all this stuff. Oh, you want to fight women, da, da, da. All this mess, banging on my door and stuff.
Was anyone else in the house other than the two of them?
It was my cousin with me at the time.
That's not your cousin.
No, this is my witness, Imani. It was my cousin at the time.
A witness to what?
A witness to the next day, Your Honor. But back with this day, my cousin was with me. He wanted to go out and fight and do it. I said, no, we're going to sit here and wait. The police end up getting called from the neighbors because it's 6 men outside banging and cussing and making a scene. The police then get there. There was an officer who, I don't know if she already knew previously or who she was cool with, but the officer said that because I'm a 6'8" man and she is a woman, she feels intimidated by me and all this stuff. So he told me that the men who were there is allowed to stay there because she is a tenant there and that's her place, so they're considered her guests. Once that was said, Your Honor, I immediately got everything that I could and I booked a hotel at the Westin. I stayed there at the Westin for 9 days. That day, she was going around on social media saying that I was scary and that I ran in my room and that I called the cops, just basically talking smack about me on the gram. Hold on, Your Honor, I'm trying to find it.
If I may interject, if I may.
Not yet.
All right.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. But she went on social media. It's
Okay,
like,
just a second. So was what you're telling me you don't have that?
It
unless
might
it's
be in that file, yeah, sorry. But it's like a message of her saying like, oh, y'all won't believe who caught the police and ran in the room crying and like just talking smack, Your Honor.
Okay, here it goes.
Yeah, that's what she posted. Once she posted that and, you know, people start hitting me up.
I see it.
Yeah. Once she started posting that, people started hitting me up. They're like, what's going on, and this and this. So I then went on Instagram and I had made a comment. I called her for short, stands for because she was going around saying that I was dirty. She went around telling that I was dirty, so I just let it be known on social media that the only thing dirty was her. You know, since she was talking about me on the gram, I decided to, you know, react.
The truth of the matter is, although it's not pleasant, that's what people do on the internet.
Yeah.
And
I was just matching energy, you know? Yeah.
Got it. Let's get to your lawsuit, sir. So far, she's lived there 3 months and she's paid 3 months rent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your claim is that during the time that you were in the hotel, when you were out of the apartment, there was damage done to the property.
Right.
Do you have photographs of the damage that was done to the apartment while you were out at the hotel?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it, please?
Here you go.
Where did you go when you finally left the plaintiff's house?
After I got my U-Haul, he dropped me off to my uncle's house. And I
On what date?
So I went there the night of the 27th, August 27th, 2022, and I came back the next day on the 28th to get my things.
Okay. So he left on the 27th, you left on the 27th after he did?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you leave as well with your girlfriend? Correct. Where did you go?
I went to my grandfather's house where I was staying
And how long have you been staying with your grandfather?
all my life
Where do you live now?
with my grandfather.
And where do you live?
With my uncle.
When you finally got back into your house, Mr. Gilliam, this is the way you found it.
Yes.
On what date did you come back? Did you find it this condition?
That was August 28th, Your Honor.
August 28th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I had woke up to a whole bunch of phone calls from my witness, Imani, and a family member saying that they were there, they saw the place.
You want to stand up?
Yeah.
Would you tell me what you know about what happened on the 27th/28th of August with regard to the vandalism?
I wasn't there the 27th, but we had a conversation that led to me coming to the apartment. So I came to the townhouse, retrieved the key to get inside of the house. Once I opened the door, I seen shattered glass all over the floor. His room was completely vandalized. There was a knife in the wall, but this was all like downstairs. Once I realized—
I'm going to show you these photographs, and I'm going to ask you if these photographs are a true and accurate representation of what you saw when you walked in on the 28th.
Yeah. Yes.
May I have them back, please, Kevin? Have you been to Mr. Gleeland's house before?
Yes.
Was it always in good order?
Yes. He's a clean freak.
You moved out on the 28th for how long?
I moved out on the 28th. I didn't come
Permanently?
back after that, yes.
Permanently?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you seen these photographs?
Yes, I did, actually. His family member sent them to me.
Okay. Can you explain these photographs to me?
I can't explain the photographs. I didn't do it.
Okay. Fine.
I wasn't there, actually, and I have proof I wasn't.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Just a second.
Yeah, okay.
Just a second.
It's crazy.
She may not have personally done it. The question is, he certainly didn't do damage to his own property.
Oh.
There is no... Well, if you have proof that he did
I have
damage
proof,
to
Your
his
Honor.
own property, then I'd certainly like to see it.
I do have proof I was not there, and...
I don't care whether you were not there or not.
Okay.
He can't show me he wasn't there, and your brother is not here, and he can't show me he wasn't there. So I have to decide if it was a stranger, the plaintiff, or this side, maybe not you, but someone acting on your behalf.
Carlos Guillen is accusing his former roommate, Nija Pai, and her boyfriend, Gallo June, of destroying his property. Nija claims Carlos had her falsely arrested and damaged her tires.
Right now I have damage.
What I would like to say...
No, I don't want you to say anything. I want you to tell me what proof you had that
All right, I
he
would like
damaged
to say,
his property.
I would like to restate, I have proof that he did not care about the apartment, that when I moved in, it was in horrible condition, actually, and he's not a clean freak, and I wasn't there to vandalize the apartment at all.
Oh, just a second. I just asked you a question. Can't you give me an answer? It's a simple answer. You said to me, I have proof that he vandalized his property. Is that what you said?
Well, I have, Your Honor, if I may.
Just a second. I want to make sure that that's what you said. I have proof that he vandalized his property.
His property was vandalized when I moved in, is what I'm saying.
Oh, no, madam.
And I did...
Oh, just a second.
She says, I have proof, Your Honor, he damaged his own property.
Okay, so all I want you to do is show me proof that he damaged his own property.
Okay, so I do not have video proof of him doing it, but based on my countersuit and the fact that I was falsely arrested and the harassment, the lies, even the online post that I haven't been able to show you yet, that he is framing me and that he did vandalize his own apartment and he didn't care about it.
Just a second. I'm willing to look at proof of any proof that you have that he vandalized his own apartment.
So around the time...
Not so around, just show me.
Oh, okay, sure. So what I have in my hand here, Your Honor, if I may,
Kevin,
is this proof that before I moved in, the apartment was not well taken care of. And like I said, I don't have proof that he went in and did it himself, but I do have proof that the apartment was never cared about to begin with. And after he actually moved all his things out, which he claimed and stated on social media, he took all his valuables.
You can take these back. This is not what I'm talking about, madam. That's a dirty bathroom that you showed me. This is vandalism.
I didn't do
There is no question in my mind that this is vandalism. This isn't dirty house. It's disgusting. Somebody took powder and liquid. This isn't just sloppy and messy. This is clearly vandalism. So is that all the proof that you have? You said, I have proof that he vandalized his own property. I'm waiting to see that proof because otherwise there are certain things that ring true.
Well,
do you have
as far
any?
as that goes, I would like to recant that because I don't have proof that he did it, but I do have proof that I'm being framed. Yes.
You have to understand, Ms. Pine, there are two things. Either he vandalized his own property, which I find is unreasonable because he would have to live with all this filth that's in his bed.
Well,
he had to,
he didn't have to live with it.
I'm speaking. I would have to find that he took a knife to his own sofa and destroyed the cushions to his own sofa. And quite frankly, I don't know this gentleman well, but he does not appear to be psychotic. Now, I don't say that he may not be a truth teller all the time, but he doesn't appear to be psychotic. So no person who's not psychotic does this to themselves. So either some stranger in the night came in and vandalized his property, or you, your boyfriend, and or your brother, who, did you say that you called your brother to come?
I called my father.
Your father to come?
Yes, and my father
Just-
called my brother, and he came.
Just a second.
Yes.
I knew I heard brother in here. Did
Yes,
your
but I
brother
didn't call
come?
my brother.
Okay. Called at least brother. I don't know if father came too. So I have to find if it was total stranger, the plaintiff, or you, boyfriend, father, brother, friend, whatever it was. So all I'm asking you to do is, do you have any other proof, other than the nonsense that you gave me, that he caused this serious vandalism of his own house?
I do not have proof that he caused it, but I do have proof I was not there, and
I don't care whether you were not there or not.
Okay.
Do you understand? I don't care whether you weren't there or not. He can't show me he wasn't there, and your brother is not here, and he can't show me he wasn't there, and your father is not here, and he can't show me that he wasn't there. Do you understand? So I have to decide if it was a stranger, the plaintiff, or this side,